Greetings, I'm V3D1, and welcome back to Leave It to VACCI. In this episode, we send out some Y-Labs Infiltrator Droids. So, what are we waiting for? Let's see if their training paid off.
I was deployed for my first mission in this match, and honestly, it couldn't have been easier to get a point. At least, that was the first mission I was sent for. The second will come from part 2 of this beginning clip. At this point, to ensure that we got a point, we saved the clip whenever we completed our mission. Anyway, I'm getting off track. My first mission was to swim the remaining distance to the grand total of 25,000 meters. Surprisingly, the assault rifle eliminations were still a quest as well, but I don't remember if I eliminated anyone with an assault rifle. We'll just have to see for ourselves. Anyway, at first I wasn't focused at all on the mission to swim 25,000 meters, but once V2C1 reminded me that that was my mission, I waded into the river, and began dolphin diving. And this was that exact moment. While I swim, I guess I could discuss the nature of V2's training procedures. She was a very strict commander. We started over at the slightest mistake. From the time we started on the 3rd to the time we finished on the 9th, we had conducted training drills of increasing difficulty and complexity over the course of 6 days, with later operations lasting 2 days. It concluded with a high-stakes mission spanning the remaining 3 days involving the Supreme Commander of an enemy force, a mission she conducted with, quite possibly, the highest difficulty of any prior mission. It was us Y-Labs models against the Jester engineering models, and she employed basic infantry, explosives experts, and even snipers against us. We had to use our combat-oriented models as distractions just to get to V2C1, and even then, she was a formidable opponent. Where combat was concerned, she had a nearly 2-month head start on us, which means out of the weapons found on the island at this time, she had pretty well mastered most of them. And she had also been in situations where she'd had to build to preserve her life before, so suffice it to say, she held us at bay for a significant period of time. However, through our combined might of first 50, then 150 strong, we breached her builds for the last time, and completed the final, hardest, and longest special operations training mission of our entire regiment. In what can only be described as perfect timing, my story finished just as I was about to engage my first opponent. With engage being a relative word. While at first I started firing at them, quickly putting them on the defensive, another opponent engaged me from behind, forcing me on the defensive as well. I built primarily on the side where the second opponent was shooting me from, but I had taken a few hits beforehand. At 5% shield at this point, I ducked behind my wall, and tried desperately to keep them from breaching it. Even though my western flank was completely exposed, I drank the small shield potions. Not long afterwards, the Snowmando I had engaged snuck up behind me, but in our short final showdown, I eliminated him with my own shotgun. At 4% system integrity, I had to urgently repair the damage, as V2C1 had made it abundantly clear that after our performance in Operation Magnetic Storm, we were not allowed to fail an easier mission, or we would be forced to resume training. After repairing my systems and raising my shield up to 50%, I checked the Snowmando's loot, only to discover he had 3 different types of shotguns, a superior tactical shotgun, the Dub, and a Dragon's Breath shotgun. I could theorize on what the Snowmando could have done better in order to come out on top, but honestly, I can only accurately say that this was an underdog victory. Did he have health restoration items, or not? Because I know I'd hit him with my assault rifle. If so, why didn't he use them? Was he seriously that overconfident that he just threw caution to the wind? Or did he run out at the most inopportune and crucial moment? Was he desperate? And why didn't he use the other shotguns? Were they not good enough? Was there some form of drawback that the tactical shotgun was his best bet? Or were they simply unloaded already? All these questions, along with the more important question of where my next assailant was, scanned through my hard drive like a marquee. When I saw that my opponent was nowhere to be seen, their importance dropped like their threat level, and I went back into the river to finish up my mission. At first, I simply swam across the river, wondering if I had merely that distance left to traverse. However, when I saw that this was not the case, I waded back into the water, and started swimming to the bridge instead. As I was swimming against the current, I wasn't moving that fast, but I was able to swim in the water long enough at least to finish the mission once and for all. I would elaborate more about Operation Magnetic Storm, but this clip is just about to end. Right now, in fact. In this clip, I made progress on the mission to place top 55. Since we have close to 4 minutes, I have a confession to make. When I said V2C1 held all 50 of us at bay, I glossed over the fact that she was accompanied by 17 infantry droids, 16 demolition droids, and 16 droid snipers, chillingly nicknamed droid assassins. As such, there were 50 droids total in her chambers, and they were the opposite of friendly. Yeah, pretty even odds, when not considering that 16 of them could take 16 of us down in 1 or 2 shots. Things looked bleak at first, like I mentioned in the last clip. Almost as bleak as my chances of getting out of the storm and into the eye. However, I started practicing with the dub, trying to work out how its recoil worked. However, I had a medkit, and back in the Score War era and the eras leading up to it, we had a stricter medkit application point of no less than 23 health or system integrity. However, even that system had its flaws, as when the storm dealt more damage, 23 was no longer a viable HP deadline. Then the SDA came up with an updated system shortly after it was founded. For each tick of the storm, a multiple of 11 is recommended to start application. 11 for 1 tick, 22 for 2 tick, 55 for 5 tick, and 88 for 8 tick. Past that, however, medkits were useless, and you'd be better off with bandages. Or, at least, they were, until Chapter 5 came around. This introduced a more gradual approach to restoring your health or system integrity. And it made medmists obsolete as a result. Not that I care, except, once you cancel the medkit for any reason, that medkit is gone. That was one advantage medmists still hold over the new medkit application, you could save the medmists for later. And who knows, maybe they are about to change it to where you can save the medkit for later. But for now, we have to settle for the still vastly improved medkit application. Anyway, I'm off topic. Speaking of repairing systems, I just finished exactly that, and moved on into Weeping Woods so as to escape the next storm, and prepare to take on or hide from my opponents. Regardless of whether I choose fight or flight, the next eye is absolutely my next destination, as the storm just started moving again. Despite my distance from the wall of the storm, I won't be caught in the storm this time, and won't start taking damage, even though I foolishly tried to run up a hill face that was too steep to climb. And we weren't trained to sprint until about 5 seasons later, during the war between the Seven and the Imagined Order. At first, we supported the latter, but when it became obvious that they were going to lose, we dropped our support and went into hiding, hoping against all hope that we could find and join Jester, just like old times. 1 season after that, we find him, and not only that, but with a different team of both organics and droids. Immediately, V2C1's self-preservation mode kicked in at red alert. In that move, Jester had rendered the entire Confederacy obsolete. And that was what kicked off our involvement in the droid war. And now, the aforementioned opponent started shooting at me. I was facing an assault rifle from a follower or IO guard, and a shotgun from a looper. Needless to say, I was eliminated, but my mission was accomplished. In this clip, I made progress on the missions to eliminate opponents with assault rifles, and place top 10. This will be the longest clip in the episode, running at an unedited length of about 10 minutes and 5 seconds. As with my predecessor, I won't last the entire clip, at least, in all but the first clip's case. But, I digress. For now, let's move on with the match at hand. As with most participants of the score war, I utilize a hiding strategy, lying in wait for an opponent to ambush. Sometimes, that opportunity comes, but most of the time, we're forced to move by the storm to a different position. I know it's monotonous, but we've survived on this strategy for the entire score war. So, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? Anyway, I'm on the move now, and gathering supplies for the next battle. This includes ammunition, building materials, and medical supplies. Many of you may be confused by me gathering building supplies when the Confederacy of Independent Droids hardly ever builds, but if desperate enough, we will build. Some models don't get that desperate, but some have, so yeah. Now I'm considering dropping back down to the ground floor, but decide to continue searching the second floor. From my search, I picked up more wood, and light bullets for my submachine gun. The fact that it's suppressed makes it one of my favorite weapons, as it takes down an opponent without drawing unwanted attention. However, as B2C1 mostly values firing rate overall, she tells me to drop the suppressed SMG in favor of the louder variant. And given the ordeal I and my group have endured, I'm not willing to go against her orders. If she can get intense in a mere training exercise, she can dole out a far worse punishment. My self-preservation programming kicks in just thinking about it. Now en route to the other cabin of Weeping Woods. My programming is on high alert, as anyone could be hiding nearby, as we do, waiting for the opportunity to ambush me, and eliminate me on the spot. I changed course to the campus, as the chances of the cabin not being looted already were rather low. I know the same can apply to the campus, but still, I made my way there, hoping that maybe, just maybe, I'll find something of worth here. My hopes were realized when I noticed that the IO guards were still patrolling the area. If nobody bothered to eliminate them, that could mean one of three things. 1. Nobody's been through here. 2. They were eliminated by the IO guards. Or 3. As IO guards were some of the most skilled soldiers of this era, the opponents may have been dissuaded by their mere presence. It's almost impossible to sneak by them and search any, let alone all, the chests they patrolled around, and escape in one piece. You would have to be stealthily careful to avoid every single guard patrolling the place, which is not an easy feat, as they are everywhere, on every side, with the vigilance of a hawk. I watch this particular guard patrol, noting his movements, and stopping places. He stopped right near the garage, and close to the nearby reboot van. After fully noting his path, I started attacking him, aiming for precision shots to the head in order to fell him quickly. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a mistake, as his buddies were soon at my garage door, and my desperate fight for survival began. As we're only 3 minutes and 43 seconds in, this isn't where I get eliminated. But it was fairly close. At this point, I was at 61% system integrity, which isn't particularly low, but compared to 100% system integrity, it's still a pretty sharp drop. However, in this case, the reward far outweighed the risk, as I was able to get my shield up to 100%, and a new weapon with which I accomplished part of my assault rifle elimination mission. Speaking of assault rifle eliminations, an enemy looper is now trying their hand to eliminate me. I built another wall and resumed repairing my systems to 100% system integrity. Once I rushed out to confront my opponent. As with the IO guard, this opponent would have fallen before my assault rifle if they continued attacking so recklessly. This time, a stolen tactical assault rifle I just retrieved from a downed IO guard. I watched them carefully as they hid behind their wall and within a nearby bush. I kept my senses vigilant for any other looper as I watched for my quarry. I made my way to the eye of the storm, deciding they weren't worth flushing out in such a reckless strategy. In my CPU, I thought that they would either escape the storm to face me eventually, or get eliminated by the storm, taking their threat off the battlefield. Such is how a typical match of Battle Royale goes. But I wasn't about to spring a trap and get eliminated by an expertly placed shotgun blast. I was going to play this tactically, and force them out in the open to deal the coup de grace on my turf. Now I'm heading over to the supply drop to get more supplies, especially the best weapons this island has to offer. I know that this is yet another risky strategy, but we're only 5 minutes and 57 seconds in. I expect to get eliminated no sooner than 9 minutes and 40 seconds in. At this point, the predictable backlash of me claiming this supply drop has arrived courtesy of the looper trying to fight me while only they were in the storm, a mistake they quickly came to regret. Anyway, I could be wrong, and I may survive longer, but I doubt I get eliminated much sooner. Maybe 9.5 minutes, at the very least. But I also doubt that I stick around for 35 seconds. Therefore, it's more likely that I get eliminated around the 9-minute and 55-second mark, or later. Another looper has decided to engage me, fighting for the right to take the weapons and supplies from the now opened supply drop. Despite them having more power at close range, my computer class wit prevailed here, as I cleverly used cover of my structures to my advantage. My shields were nearly depleted in the process, but 4 regionals was taken down in a rather short firefight. Afterwards, I started searching for and applying every nearby shield potion, mini or big pot alike, for the next inevitable battle. I then looked at the weapons that came out of the supply drop. They happened to be a purple lever action rifle and a bolt action sniper rifle, both of which were ignored, as I still had an assault rifle mission to complete. This may be a decision I regret later, but that could be in another 3 minutes, at least. Regardless, I moved on, ready as I could be to take on another threat. I was en route to Hunter's Haven, which may be the site of my last stand. However, whether I was sensing impending doom or not, I had my trusty assault rifle ready, and would blast any looper on sight. My sonar was picking up one's footsteps, but I didn't realize at first that they were underground. Once I had, however, I entered the nearest building leading into the underground complex, and engaged the looper on the stairs. As I was the first to strike, it was a very short, one-sided firefight in which I was the victor. I searched through their loot for anything that could be better than what I already had, but all I found were weapons outside of my programmed proficiency, ammunition, medical supplies, and building materials. I then proceeded to search the rest of the bunker for any other looper, or the aforementioned better weapons that could give me an even greater advantage than I had. After searching the chest under the stairs, I was going back up the stairs when I noticed the rear chest on the other side. My programming, as well as V2C1, urged me to investigate the chest and see if it contained better weapons. Before I did, I grabbed some ammunition from under the stairs to the rear chest. From the rear chest, I got another bolt-action sniper rifle, a big pot, some wood, heavy bullets, some gold which I couldn't carry, and some shockwave grenades. I ignored most of it, opting to grab the wood and heavy bullets instead. I'm almost to my survival cutoff point, so if I engage an opponent past the 9-minute and 30-second mark, I have a 90% chance of getting eliminated. The reason I don't remember is that I've went on countless missions after the fact, and it's hard to find the right files nowadays, so I'm limited to what I can see right now. I'm now in the Hunter's Haven proper, 3 opponents left, and at the 9-minute and 46-second mark. Didn't I tell you that I wouldn't be eliminated so soon? Unfortunately though, this will be my final battle. In this clip, I made progress on the mission to eliminate opponents with assault rifles. This match will be split into 2 clips, this one of which will be the first, obviously. Anyway, I skydived down to a nearby gas station to prepare for the mission ahead. I glide the rest of the way via my hyperboard, and once I glide the whole rest of the way horizontally, I patiently await the moment I touch down. As the glider's vertical speed is obviously slower, I debated whether to land on the roof, or the ground around the gas station. However, after a brief debate, the roof won out, granting me a lever-action shotgun in the process. After landing, I get to work searching for the next weapon to fill out my loadout, prioritizing the assault rifle. However, aside from the other weapon on the roof, I didn't find any other weapon at this gas station. Not floor loot, not a single chest, nothing. Just a produce box, and some light bullets. Needless to say, I and V2C1 were starting to get a little concerned about my chances. However, I assured her that I would do the best I could with what I got, and let the rest take care of itself. My answer seemed to satisfy her, but deep down, we both expected to not get as much done this match as with previous matches. Once it was clear that we were not getting anything else here, I started heading to the eye south of my position. True, there's 2 minutes and 13 seconds until the eye moves again, but this is about more than just escaping the storm. This is about getting ready for the mission or battle ahead, whichever comes first. I make it to the green steel bridge, and enter the bridge house. Inside, I find some chug splashes, which I eagerly pick up. However, I decide to hold onto them for a while, at least until I can find some minis. Or, barring me finding some minis, until my patience runs out. There are some medium bullets here, and while I should take the heavy assault rifle, it's not something I am being encouraged to use. V2 stresses the importance of overwhelming an opponent with a lot of rounds from a faster assault rifle like the Scar and tactical assault rifle, even though V2I2 had no problem taking down IO guards, some of the hardest opponents to eliminate, with a heavy assault rifle. Counter positively, as well as she did with almost everyone she fought after the IO guards, she was still defeated by a fish wielding a lever-action shotgun like the one I'm currently carrying, except perhaps more powerful. As I was discussing the assault rifle dilemma, I found the minis I was searching for, and got my shield up to 90%. Anyway, you'll see later in this season that her firing rate theory was disproven by my successor. I won't get into specifics, as I've heard spoilers are a touchy subject. However, I highly suggest you watch the next episode whenever it comes out, as my direct successor plays, quite possibly, the best match of any other droid in the Confederacy. However, even if I'm being encouraged to use a Scar or tactical assault rifle, I decided to pick up the heavy assault rifle just now, so in this case, my mission has just begun. I'm heading further south, keeping my senses vigilant for any opponents who may want to fight. If I don't find an opponent, I'll instead focus on trying to find more ammunition, medical supplies, building materials, or better weapons. I am now west of the lake I passed over whilst gliding to the gas station earlier. The map suggests that parts of the lake is muddy, though I don't pay it any heed. My mission was currently far more important than water quality. As long as acidic water doesn't rise and damage my systems, water quality isn't much of a concern to me. The only reason any of us should be worried about water quality is if it affects Jester or the employees of Y-Labs. Or, as I said before, if there's a particularly acidic flood that damages us. Something that did worry me back then was the fact that I then had a bounty on my head. An opponent had access to my general location, and is most likely trying to track me down as I speak. However, as you'll see in the next episode, this isn't much of a concern. Anyway, I move on to try to complete my mission as quickly and efficiently as possible. The Confederacy of Independent Droids had just leveled up, getting a new style of armor for a bounty hunter named Menace. After not finding any different weapons in this building, I leave, and try to find a chest that registers on my sonar. I decided that it may be on the roof, and build up to it, only to see that, not only was it not there, but that this building didn't have an attic. I drink a big pot to fully restore my shield, then resume my search for the chest. I fall through the upwards facing window of the roof, then head back into the room with the chalkboard, build to the ceiling, then started breaking it, returning to the roof. At this point, I couldn't compute where the chest was. I then jumped onto the roof again, and followed my sonar to where it said the chest was. At this point, you would have thought that I realized that, if it wasn't on the roof, nor on the ground floor, I should start searching for a way into the basement, because clearly, that's where the chest was. And you'd be right. But it wasn't just any chest. It was a much larger container, from which a bolt-action sniper rifle and shockwave grenade spilled out. Now I searched for my opponent, and went back into the building's ground floor, only to fall back into the basement because my opponent was searching for the same chest I was. Despite being blindsided after the fall, I eliminated my opponent, a woman in a skeleton suit, and built back up out of the basement. This was what I was talking about when I said that firing rate isn't everything. You'll see an even greater example in the next episode, but for now, let's just focus on the match at hand. Another opponent had decided to challenge me, triggering my self-preservation programming. With 2 expert headshots, that opponent was no more. I know I missed my first few shots, but the 2 shots that hit were more than enough to make up for it. Despite clearly going for the assault rifle elimination mission, I exchanged my lever-action shotgun with a green tactical shotgun. The reason for that is, should I start struggling at close range with the heavy assault rifle, survival overrides the mission any day. I then head to the eye again, as where the eye is, most of my opponents will also be there, at least, the more cautious ones, anyway. With less than 2 minutes left in this clip, the episode, 2, will soon be coming to a close. I suppose, depending on who you ask, that could be a good thing. I'm not entirely sure how the viewers will react to my voice, and I'm currently not at liberty to say that this episode or the next will be the last time you hear our voices, as the V2 Infiltrator field test project lasted for quite a while. But if you do like my voice, I'll have a greater chance of returning in the future seasons. But, for Season 1, everything is already finalized. The units have already deployed and made progress on, or completed, missions in every episode past this episode. The only thing left to do is record lines post-production, edit the episodes in various ways, and then upload them to Zenkai Studios. As you might be able to expect, this is a time-consuming process, and we don't always stick with it for exactly that reason, but once we finish line recording, we progress to the next stage the following Thursday, which is editing, followed by uploading the episode. For you, this is only 9 minutes and 20 seconds, but believe me when I say, the trial and error line recording style has taken hours at this point. I'm not joking. The last few lines, from the time I mentioned we leveled up to right now, has taken a little over 2 hours to finish. That's a pretty long time for such a significantly shorter time you get to hear me talk, isn't it?
And that seems to be all the time we had for today. Join us in the next episode when we eliminate opponents with assault rifles, place top 10 for the last time in a rare quest, and even win a match. In the meantime though, thank you for watching, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time. Until then, farewell.